Hello, my name is Jerry Eldred. I want to speak to those of you who are members of Jehovah's Witnesses. My goal is not to attack you, but I have some concerns about the Watchtower itself, the leadership. There's some things that they've done in their translation of the Bible, called the New World Translation, that are pretty questionable. And I don't want to see you deceived by leadership. So I'm actually here to try to help you understand. And what I'm going to do is we're going to look at several verses of Scripture. We're going to start with John 8:58. Now, I've got it on the screen as Koine Greek, which is the language that all translations of the New Testament and all the languages today come from Koine Greek. I've got the Koine Greek, the King James Version, and the New World Translation on the screen. I have color-coded the words I want to expound upon to match them up so you can see what I'm saying. We'll start first with the translation of the Greek of John 8:58. Said to them, this word is an article. It doesn't need to come into English, but it is what is called an identifier. It shows you that what's coming next is masculine and singular and the subject of the sentence. And it is an identifier pointing to the word Jesus. It's not necessary to translate it into English. Said to them, Jesus, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham came into existence, I am. Now we'll look at the King James Version. Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Notice the word was in gray. That matches up with the Greek word to come into existence. Translated was, that's okay. But the Greek is more specific that he did come into existence and he just wasn't always there. Speaking of Abraham, of course. And then I am, an absolute state of existence. First person singular form of the verb to be with the pronoun I. Now looking at the New World Translation from the Watchtower, Jesus said unto them, most truly, I say unto you, before Abraham came into existence, that's good up to this point, I have been. There's nothing in the Greek that can be translated I have been. It's simply I am. As you can see, I've matched up the I have been in red and yellow as the match up with the I am in English and the I am of the Greek version. Now next I'm going to move on to John 8:59, the next verse. The reason for doing that, it's very important to see how the Jews responded to what Jesus said. Okay, John 8:59, get the pointer here. Then took they stones that they may cast upon him. But Jesus hid and went out of the temple. Passing, Greek has a way of doing things that English does not. This little beginning here to the verb that modifies went or go or come, go as the preposition through. And they will do that. They'll add it to the, and then they'll repeat it again, passing through, just like they did with going out or went out and then out again. It's just one of those things that just the language. But he hid and went out of the temple, going through them. He went right through the crowd. Always amazes me how he did that without being recognized, but of course he can do anything. And so passed by. Going to the King James, then took they up stones to cast at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. New World Translation, so they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid and went out of the temple. New World Translation is fine, but the thing I want to harp on is the reason. It's the Jews' reaction that's important. The only legal reason that Jesus could be stoned was for blasphemy, proving that the Jews realized that Jesus, by saying I am, was referring to the I am in Exodus 3:14 when God, Yahweh, Jehovah, spoke to Moses at the burning bush. There were only like 5 reasons for stoning in Torah law. I'm trying to think of them all. Let's see, one of them would be murder, adultery, trafficking with familiar spirits, the occult. I think homosexuality is one. I'm not sure, but definitely one of those 5 is blasphemy. And I'm going to home in that point when we get into the 10th chapter of John, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll start the John 10:30 to John 10:33. We'll start out with the Greek version, the Koine Greek. I and the Father one we are. Then lifted they again stones, the Jews, that they may stone him. I've got the word again highlighted because the last time in John 8:59 they tried to stone him, there were no other occurrences recorded in John chapter 9 or 10 up to this point. So this has happened again, and it all started because of what Jesus had just said. Answered or responded to them. There's that article again that's nominative, meaning the subject, masculine singular, identifier pointing to Jesus, the noun that follows it. We don't need to pull that over into English. So responded to them Jesus, many good works I have shown to you from my Father, or actually it says from the Father mine. Greek word order is a lot different than English. On account of which work, or which of the works, stone you me? And you can tell he's talking to more than one person. With the ending in this verb, it's a second person plural. So he says, because of which of these works, I should say, let me get that right, because which of these, which work, stone you me? Second person plural. Answered they to him, referring back to Jesus, the Jews, saying, on account of, because of, this is a preposition that has a lot of meaning according to context. It's where we get our word perimeter, it's the root of it. Could mean concerning or completely enclosing. But in other words, it's telling us that the works are in all included. Because of good works, not stone we you, but because of blasphemy, and that you, man being, make you yourself God. We're going to look at the King James and then look at the New World Translation next, and we'll see. Well, what I'm going to do is point out the reason for stoning of blasphemy and why. Okay, now we are going to look at John 10:30 to 10:33 in the King James Version and the New World Translation. I and my Father are one. This started the trouble again. My's in italics because it's not in the Greek. If you remember, it said literally, I and the Father, one we are. But it really doesn't do any damage. Yeah, he was saying that he and the Father were one in composite unity. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. Jesus answers them, many good works have I shown you from my Father. For which of those works do you stone me? The Jews answered him, saying, for a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because that thou being a man makest thyself God. This time it comes out that it is blasphemy. In other words, they understood him to be saying he was God. Let's look at the New World Translation. I and the Father are one. Once again, the Jews picked up stones to stone him. Jesus replied to them, I displayed to you many fine works from the Father. From which of these works are you stoning me? The Jews answered him, we are stoning you not for a fine work, but for blasphemy. For you, although being a man, maketh yourself a God. Incorrect. statutory death penalty for blasphemy shouldn't apply to a god. First of all, there's no indefinite article in Greek. Like we have a, well, they don't have that. And if he was trying to tell them that he was a god, one of many, the first thing you got to realize is that they picked up the stones before Jesus asked them the question. They had it already in their mind. That's what they wanted to do. And then Jesus asked them for which work, and they said it's not for a good work. He said that it's for blasphemy. Had they understood him to be saying something like a god, they would have not picked up the stones in the first place. They full well understood he was talking about the I am of Exodus 3:14. There were a lot of Greek-speaking Jews then, and most of them probably had the LXX. That's the translation from Hebrew to Greek that occurred after the rise of the Greek Empire. So there are even signs found on the Temple Mount. Archaeologists have found signs in Greek on the Temple Mount that date to the 1st century. So what I'm saying here is a god just will not work. There's no way. They wouldn't have picked up the stones in the first place if they understood that. We're going to look at Exodus 3:14 to close out. Okay, here we are at Exodus 3:14, the LXX, and the King James Version. I'm not going to look at the New World Translation. I'll make a guess that they probably use Jehovah, but this is what I want to bring out. And said, there's that article again, nominative, singular, masculine, identifier pointing to the word God, and said the God to Moses, in Moses' direction, speaking directly at him. I am. And we have the article that matches up here with God. It's referring back, and it is also, as I said, it's masculine, singular, nominative. But some people think that this is a noun. I am the being. I've heard people try to translate it. But actually it's, I am he who is existing and continuing to exist. It's a constant state of being. And he said, thus tell you to the sons of Israel, and here we have this same expression again, he that is existing and continuing to exist sent me to or towards you. King James, and God said unto Moses, I am that I am, and he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am. Very difficult to talk about an infinite God with a finite mind. So it can get quite awkward. The Greek says, I am the one that is existing and continuing to exist. The English, I am that I am. I guess there are a few ways you could come up with saying that, but that's what the translators chose, I am that I am. And I'm hoping that I've gotten through to some of you who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and that you won't take a religious organization's word for it when your eternity is at stake. Just simply ask God to reveal the truth about Jesus to you. And I guarantee you, if you're sincere, he will.
Just as I am, without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee.